Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gut Health Happy Hour Hydration Edition. So, this is something that is super important, and I think we all know how important drinking water is, right? But there's so much more to it, and this is one of the most overlooked pieces of the puzzle when we are trying to get healthier and improve issues. And this goes for gut issues, of course. So, what people think hydration is drinking a whole shitload of water, right? And people say, well, I drink a ton of water. Everyone says that. All my clients came in, I drink a ton of water, drink a ton of water. Okay, that's great. But we need to dive a little bit deeper into the nitty gritty of how your cells actually hydrate. Because you could be drinking all that water, a gallon of water a day or whatever it is that you do, and it could be not even getting absorbed into your cells and you just pee it right out. So even though you're drinking all that water, you can still be dehydrated. And that is a really big problem. And this has become a bigger problem, not surprisingly, because our water is just not as healthy as it used to be. And the big part that is really missing when people are talking about hydration is that we are mineral deficient. So we're going to talk about all of that today, why all of these different things are important, more than just drinking a particular amount of water. We're going to talk about how you really get hydration into your cells, because just putting water into your body does not mean you're hydrated, right? So that is what we're going to talk about today. Everybody say hello as you're coming on. Give me a hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. So let's dive into why this is so important and why there are so many misconceptions around it, which causes actually disease to happen. There's a way that you can measure your hydration, and Dr. Zach Bush talks about this, and he says none of the people that have ever come in, there's this scale on 1 to 10 that you can actually measure your hydration. None of the people that have ever come in with a lot of health complaints have ever been over a 7, even though they say they drink a ton of water. He's never seen anyone over a 7. Now, people that are really healthy and have no health complaints, he sees them, their scale be between 7 and 10. So you can see that really hydrating your cells is a part of keeping your body nice and healthy. So the thing about water is that we all know water is H2O. So there's 2 hydrogen molecules, and hydrogen, the really cool thing, and this is why we need to hydrate, is that hydrogen goes into our body and scavenges free radicals. Free radicals are a byproduct, a natural byproduct of the processes that happen in your body. These free radicals float around your body, and what we need is for things to go in, deactivate them, and get them out of the body. It's just a natural part of how we live every day. So if we don't have things that go into the body and scavenge those free radicals, the free radicals can cause all kinds of issues in the body, oxidation and inflammation and things. And it's really the root of disease. So what's really cool is water has those 2 hydrogen molecules. The hydrogen goes in and scavenges those free radicals. So it's really an antioxidant. That's what antioxidants do. So you've probably heard this buzzword, antioxidants, right? And what it really is, I call them little disease fighters, because they go into your body, they scavenge the free radicals and get them out of your body, so they're not going to cause that oxidation and inflammation. So there are antioxidants in food, like the really brightly colored fruits and vegetables. Those are antioxidants in those foods, and that is part of the reason why those are so good for you. So that's why we really want to keep the cells of our body hydrated with H2O, is in part because of that hydrogen. It's going to prevent disease. And so in our bodies, our heart, our brain, and our lungs are over 80% water. So if you think about that and how much of our body is made up of water, you really want to make sure that you're getting enough good quality water into the cells. Last week we talked about, what do you want to build the cells of your body out of? You literally build the cells of your body out of the nutrients from the food you eat. So do you want to build the cells of your body out of hot dogs and Doritos, right? Or do you want to build the cells of your body out of real natural foods that come from Mother Nature? And this is the same thing. What kind of water do you want to get into your body? So as far as digestion goes, because that is obviously the focus of this group, so the heart, brain, and lungs is over 80% water. Your mucus in your body, and you probably think of mucus as a bad thing, like you have an overgrowth of mucus, but in our digestion, in our digestive tract, our mucus is one of the most important things that we need. It's like a first line of defense against things like leaky gut, toxic things affecting your gut lining. And so we need this mucus layer, and this has got bacteria and all kinds of other things in there that are really protective. Your mucus layer is 90% water. So to have a properly working digestion, we need that mucus layer to be really strong. So if we dehydrate our body, we're going to dehydrate that mucus layer. Now we've lost this protection in our gut lining. So I'm sure you've heard me talk about leaky gut. I did a whole training on leaky gut, and I don't like to pick one that is the most important, but if I'm going to say there's one that's most important, it probably is that one. So if you want the replay of that, just comment leaky in the comments, and I'll send that to you. And if we dehydrate that mucus layer, that is going to leave our digestive lining open for damage, and then leaky gut happens, and then that's when we can get a lot of bad things happening to the rest of our body, because now toxins that were supposed to be taken through the body to be excreted are now leaking through our gut into our bloodstream, gets into the thyroid, the joints, everywhere through the body, and that's when we start running into a whole bunch of problems. So that's specifically one of the reasons why hydration is so important for gut health. So we also need water. So water it's a messenger. Our bodies are electric beings. So our whole body needs to be able to communicate with other parts of the body, right? Our bodies are electric. So I think we all probably did one of those experiments in school in the science class where the water can take the electricity from one place to another, right? So that is what we need the water in our body for as well. We need it to communicate throughout the body. If we don't have that water, we don't have the communication. But we also need it for our DNA. We need it for our blood. So a lot of times when people have high blood pressure, if you don't get enough water in your blood, then it becomes more sludgy, and it's hard for your heart to pump it through your body. If we don't have enough water in our lymphatic fluid, so your lymphatic fluid is mostly water, and this fluid lives right under your skin. It is your kind of garbage carrier of your body. And the thing about your lymph system is that there's no heart pumping it, like your heart pumps your blood. We don't have anything pumping our lymphatic fluid. So we need to make sure that our lymphatic fluid is moving through our body so that it can take the waste and bring it to where it needs to go to be excreted. So if you think about if your lymphatic fluid is dehydrated and it's thick and sludgy and not moving, those toxins are going to live in your body. And we definitely don't want that to happen. Also, your spinal fluid is made of water, and the discs, those synovial discs between your spine and your joints and things, those are made of water. So if you are a dehydrated person and you have a lot of back pain or joint pain, it could be dehydration. And just drinking more water doesn't necessarily stop your dehydration. So we're going to get into that. But those are all the things that are affected when we don't get enough water into our cells. And the cells need balance. So we need to make sure that there's enough water and minerals outside the cells and enough water and minerals inside the cells so that there's a good balance there. And the big problem that we've got going on today is that people are mineral deficient. So the water and the minerals are like a team. If you only have pure water without minerals, you're going to have a lot of problems. If you only have minerals without water, you're going to have a lot of problems. We need the water and the minerals to work together as a team to be that communication system. Without the minerals, the electric pulses of communication are not going to work. So that's why it's really important when you do choose water filtration systems that you choose very carefully to make sure you're getting enough minerals, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the soil that our food is grown in today is not mineral rich. So if the soil isn't mineral rich, that means the food that we're eating isn't mineral rich, which means we're not getting enough minerals into our body, which means we're not hydrating the cells of our body. You can still be drinking 100 ounces of water a day, but if you don't have the minerals in the body that bring the water into the cells, the water's going in and you're peeing it out. So a lot of times people drink water and they have to pee every 30 minutes. That could be an issue of you're not actually hydrating the cells of your body. It's literally just going through your digestive tract and out the other end. So what we need to do is make sure we're getting enough minerals. Now you may have heard of them as electrolytes, right? So there are particular minerals that are beneficial for getting that water into your cells. Magnesium, potassium, sodium, chloride, things like this. We need to get these things, but we need to get them in a good balance. And so a lot of times, like when people just use table salt, but aren't getting enough potassium, that's when you can really get your body out of balance. Salt is not bad for you. So this is a big misconception that salt is bad for you. Salt is not bad for you. Salt without other minerals is bad for you, and too much salt without other minerals is bad for you, but it is actually necessary for the human body to have salt. So a lot of times when people are having like heart issues, let's say, they'll say, don't have any salt. And that is going to be really dangerous for you. And one thing that happens when we start down this road of a healthier lifestyle is when we cut out all these processed foods. That's where the bad salt comes from, is from processed foods. Not the food that you make at home, that you salt at home. That's not where the bad salt comes from. So when we cut out all these processed foods, a lot of times people become sodium deficient because they're not salting their food at home enough. And that's when your electrolyte balance can get out of whack and you don't have enough minerals in your body. So finding a really good quality salt with minerals is important because the natural Mother Nature packages everything up in this really perfect proportion. So if you have a really good quality salt, it's going to have the good balance of minerals, because if you have too much sodium without enough potassium, that's not good. But nature balances it for you. So we want to be able to get our electrolytes in a really natural way. But like I said, the problem is with our poor farming practices these days, we're just not getting mineral rich food. And so you've heard me talk about this before. The products that I use from myself, my family, and my clients are products that are grown in a farm in Utah with mineral rich soil, watered with pure water, and is glyphosate free. Because another problem is that glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup that's sprayed on all of our food here in America, it binds onto minerals and removes them. So not only is our food not mineral rich because of the soil, but now the glyphosate comes in and binds to those minerals. So now you're even more depleted than before. So the food that we grew in the 1940s in our grandparents' generation, those farms, they rotated their crops. They had animals living on the farm that would fertilize. They took care of the soil. We are only as good as the soil. So the fact that this is not happening today is really a dangerous thing. So it's part of why people are getting dehydrated. So part of what we need to do is make sure we're getting electrolytes, and there are a few ways we can do that. Gatorade is not one of them. Gatorade is marketed towards kids and athletes as you getting your electrolytes, but it is absolutely terrible for you. There are much, much better ways of getting electrolytes into your body. You can eat mineral-rich foods and eat more of them because they are depleted, so we actually need to consciously eat more mineral-rich foods. And there are a lot of foods that have minerals and are made up of tons of water. So you can eat fruits and vegetables, and the water in fruits and vegetables is what they call structured water. So it hasn't been tainted by any kind of municipality that's filtering and adding things to your water. And so if you eat these really great water-filled foods, they have minerals in them and natural water. So things like watermelon oranges, cucumber, celery. These natural foods are a good combination of minerals and water, right? Because we don't want to separate the two. There's also mineral drops that you can put in your water. And again, you want to make sure that they don't have a bunch of additives, because a lot of these things will have food dyes, they have sugar, they have preservatives. A really popular one is liquid IV. If you turn around liquid IV and look at the ingredients, it is absolute garbage. But tons of people are using this because on the front, it looks like this is a really healthy way to hydrate. So you want to be really careful with the electrolytes that you buy, but there are tons of options out there. The one I use is just minerals. There's no sugar, there's no colorings, there's nothing else in it, and it comes from a natural source. And so I do 2 droppers of that every single night because it's going to help my body with all those processes that I talked about that water is essential for. So electrolytes, getting your electrolytes into your body every day is essential. You don't want to put them in all of your water. You do want to have some water because, again, we need a balance of the water and the minerals. So have some water without electrolytes, some with, and try and get them from natural sources without a bunch of additives, right? Another way to improve the way that your cells absorb water is to do some grounding. So if you haven't heard of grounding, this is an amazing way to improve your body, improve anything going on in your body, because like I said, our bodies are electrical, and every single thing in the whole entire universe has a frequency to it. And when you stand on the earth with your bare feet, in fact, I use this every day. This is a grounding mat. I have a link to it on my website. I stand on this every day as I'm doing all these videos. The best way to do it is to get your physical body out and put your bare feet on the earth, and your body absorbs the frequency of the earth, and it actually can cause your electrical cells to be able to absorb water better. So on the flip side of that, another way to improve your hydration is to avoid EMFs. So EMFs are the electromagnetic radiation that comes from all of our devices, our phones, our laptops, anything with Wi-Fi, earbuds, right? So when you put earbuds in and it's Wi-Fi going through your brain, okay, these are, so as positive an influence as the Earth's frequency is, EMFs are absolutely opposite. So what it does is it actually loosens the sort of junctions, tight junctions, like how we talk about leaky gut, there's tight junctions there. The EMFs loosen the tight junctions in your cells and causes your cells to lose hydration. And there are a few things that you can do about EMFs. There are stickers and things that you can put on your devices that will help mitigate the effects of EMFs on your body. Sleeping next to your phone is not a good idea, so you get EMFs into your brain all night long. I sleep with my phone in the living room. Turning off your Wi-Fi router at night while you sleep is great as well. But anything you can do to mitigate the effects. When I work with my laptop, like I'll go sit outside and work with my laptop, I have a pad under my laptop that is specific to block EMFs. Just any kind of regular pad won't do. It has to be specific for that. I have the link to that on my website as well. But anything you can do to mitigate the EMFs getting into your body, trying to put your devices away for a couple hours before you go to bed so your body can sleep without the EMF effects. Anything like that is going to be really great for you and improve your hydration. Also, increasing your fiber intake will increase the way your cells can get hydrated. Fiber causes absorption of water. So the more fiber you put into your body, the more water you are going to absorb. And a lot of people, and by a lot, probably 95% of people don't even get close to the recommended amount of fiber per day. And so you want to slowly increase your fiber, because jumping up your fiber from 15 grams, 10 or 15, I think is what most people get, and we really want to get 30 to 40. If you jump from 10 to 30, you're not going to feel very good. So you want to slowly increase your fiber, and please don't do it with Metamucil. Again, it's just like the Gatorade. You might get a little fiber in there, but you're also getting so many terrible ingredients that are just going to have the absolute opposite effect. So slowly increasing your fiber. And we talked about those foods that contain water and minerals. There are specific foods that contain more minerals. Bananas, I think you've probably heard, if you have a cramp to eat a banana, that's because of the potassium. But avocados even have more potassium than bananas. Things like kale and spinach and nuts, all of these foods have a really high natural mineral content. So adding in those foods will also add in fiber. So you're getting the electrolytes and the fiber as well. And when we're talking about salt, my personal preference is Redmond's Real Salt. It has 0 contaminants. And that's a problem. They're coming out now with all these studies that show that pink Himalayan salt, which is what everyone has been using for a long time, actually has heavy metals in it because it's coming from the ocean that has heavy metals, which unfortunately, it's just nearly impossible to avoid toxins these days. It's a sad state of our sort of world, but there are ways that we can naturally detoxify these things, and we've talked about that in a previous training. So comment detox if you want the replay of that detox training. But so finding a salt that doesn't have contaminants and contains minerals is going to help you hydrate the cells of your body. So again, that's Redmond's Real Salt is the one that I use at home. But surprisingly enough, also exercise and specifically resistance training helps your body to absorb water. And so it actually changes the ability of that cell to absorb the water and the minerals into the body. So surprisingly enough, adding in a little resistance training will help. And then adding in sunlight as well. So sunlight has been vilified over the last couple of decades. I think probably because, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, we used to just slather ourselves in, what oil was that? Tell me in the comments if you remember, if you ever slathered yourself in oil. Was it just baby oil? I think it was baby oil. And we would just fry ourselves, right? So I think there was a whole influx of skin cancer happening. That is not what you want to do. But what you do want to do, sunlight is good for you. The sun is so good for you, so beneficial. So getting yourself into the sun for 15 minutes or so with no sunscreen, it helps so many things in the body. As we know, it helps our vitamin D levels. But it also, just like getting the frequency of the earth, getting that frequency of the sun into your body can help as well. So there's many things besides just drinking more water that are going to help hydrate your cells. So speaking of how much water to drink, so ideally you want to take your body weight, cut it in half, and that is the amount of ounces of water to drink in a day. Now, this varies. It varies on where you live, climate-wise. It varies on how much you exercise. It varies what kind of diet you have, whether you have a healthier diet or not healthy. So of course, this is always just a loose suggestion, but take half your body weight in ounces of water and drink that per day. Now, the only way you're going to know if you're drinking that much is if you track it, because so many people come to me and say, oh, I drink tons of water. And then when we actually track it, it's not tons of water. You think you're drinking tons of water a lot of the time. So what I suggest for tracking your water, and let me know in the comments if you have a good way that you like to do it, is find a bottle and make it something that is going to be comfortable for you to carry around, because this is going to be your new best friend. It's going to go with you everywhere you go. As my health guru, Sean Stevenson, says, you're Batman, this is Robin. He's your sidekick. But something that's going to fit in your car, that can fit in your purse if you need it. I just carry it around by this loop. And I like to have a straw. If I have to take off a lid and go like this, I'm not going to drink it very much. But I can do this as I'm working, as I'm on with clients, as I'm teaching Pilates, as I'm doing gut health happy hours. Super simple, but you want to make sure that you're tracking it. So this is 22 ounces. And so I know that I drink 4 of these a day, which is fairly easy, right? 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then I usually drink more water in the evening. But the caveat with that is we don't want to drink water for 20 minutes before during, or after when we eat a meal. And the reason for that is because our stomach acid, we need our stomach acid to be really hot and really acidic. And when we drink water, especially ice water, if you can avoid ice water, it's going to be much, much better for you. Nobody likes to hear that, but you don't want to typically drink ice water, and especially around when you eat. If you make your stomach acid cold and watery, your food will just sit in your stomach. You want your stomach acid to be hot and acidic. So try to avoid. So when you're thinking about drinking your water and tracking it and saying, here's when I need to drink water, take out about that hour period around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So make sure that you're not really drinking water in those time periods. So then you just need to squeeze it in other ways. But again, eating those water-filled fruits is great, and vegetables. So that can count towards it, but that's a hard thing to track because you don't really know how much it is. So what I tell my clients is to put a rubber band for each bottle you need to drink. So for me, it would be 4 rubber bands. And then every time I drink my whole bottle, I take off a rubber band. I don't need to do it anymore because I've been doing this for many years. But that's a good way to really know. And there are bottles that will track for you. A lot of them are plastic. So we want to avoid plastic. So when you're getting your new Robin, make sure it's stainless steel or glass, because plastic has chemicals in it. These chemicals called xenoestrogens. So they're like fake estrogens that come into your body, and they can cause all kinds of problems, from thyroid issues to cancer. So we definitely want to avoid drinking out of plastic. So find your Robin, find a good way to track it. Some people do it on their phone. So if that works for you, do it on your phone. For some people, it stresses people out to track things on their phone. So it's whatever you prefer to do. And if you can just remember, then just remember. So good way to know how much water you need to drink is just to get a bottle and its measurements. So let's talk about quality of water. As my guru also says, Sean Stevenson, if you don't have a water filter, you are the filter. So if you're drinking tap water, and I hear so many people say, oh, I live in an area with good tap water. Hopefully you do. I think a lot of people have just heard that somewhere and they think it's true. But here's a good way for you to know. You can go to www.ewg.org, and up in the right-hand corner, it says Tap Water Database. You can click on that and put in your zip code, and it'll tell you exactly the contaminants that are in your water. Unfortunately, we can't get away from it. I think all of our water is contaminated, unfortunately. So if you don't have a filter, you are a filter. Now, a lot of people think the refrigerator filter is good. It's better than nothing. But what can happen, unfortunately, in these refrigerator filters is a biofilm builds up because there's all these lines going through the whole refrigerator, and they're usually plastic lines, and a film can build up, and people don't clean these lines, and they really forget to change their filter, right? How many people are really good about changing their filter? And the filter in the first place is not, it might have been good for 20 years ago, but now we have so many contaminants in our tap water. And these are things that this refrigerator filter is just not going to get out. We've got tons of chlorine. We've got fluoride, which I'm not going to get into a fluoride debate, but it is something we want to filter out. Prescription drugs, tons of prescription drugs, lead, mercury. I was reading about a study where they found an average of 56 different chemicals in these various tap waters that they tested. 56 different toxins in tap water. And so people think, I'll just drink bottled water. Bottled water, the only regulation for bottled water is that it has to be as good as tap water. It doesn't have to be any better. And in conjunction with that tap water study, this study found that there were 38 toxins in this bottled water, average of bottled waters. In addition to the toxins that are in the bottled water, it's expensive, right? But again, we're drinking out of plastic. And anytime the plastic heats up, it's going to leach into the water. So from where the bottled water is made to when it gets into your mouth, how many times do you think it's been heated up and cooled? It's ridden in this truck or sat outside on this loading dock or whatever it is. Or then maybe it sits in our car after we get groceries. But it doesn't even have to be heated up for it to leach into your body. And these are those xenoestrogens. You probably have heard of BPA, but BPA is certainly not the only one. And they trick you because on the label they say it's BPA free. They can just replace BPA with BPS. And that's true for anything with a BPA free label. It can be for any of that. And that can be makeup or soup cans and God knows what else. So bottled water is not the way to go. A lot of people have a Brita, and like I said, it's better than nothing. At least it is a filter. But literally it says, and this just is mind-blowing to me, reduces the taste and odor of chlorine. But it doesn't actually filter out the chlorine. And another fun fact, Brita is owned by Clorox. So I don't trust Brita as far as I can throw them. But I'm sure there are other jug filters that are going to be better than that. So do your research. Go research what other people are saying about this company. Mamavation is a great place to get research on all kinds of products. So I always go to Mamavation. Again, EWG has great research on a lot of products. But I tend to not trust these big conglomerate companies that do not for 1 second have our well-being in mind. They just want to make money. So Brita, I don't trust, but I'm sure there are some other jugs that are better. Another one is reverse osmosis. So you can get a reverse osmosis filtration system that lives under your sink. Now again, some of them are good, some of them are not as good. You want to get one so the thing about reverse osmosis, there's 2 downfalls to it for me. One is it wastes a lot of water because it separates the water, and then I think you waste, I looked into this years ago and I can't remember, something like 30 to 40% of the water gets wasted, and then the water that comes out is totally stripped, but it's totally stripped of all minerals. And like we were saying in the beginning, you want to have a good balance of the minerals in the water. If the mineral-free water goes into your body, it needs to create a balance, right? Like we talked about, between the outside and the inside of the cell has to be in balance. So what it'll do, it'll leach minerals out of your cells to create that balance. So with reverse osmosis water, you need to be putting minerals back in. Now there are systems that will remineralize the water, so that would be a better option. But if it doesn't, you have to mineralize every glass of water, or else you're literally leaching minerals out of your cells and dehydrating the cells. So reverse osmosis is an option, but like I said, it just takes a little bit of extra work to make sure it's mineralized. There are all kinds of other different filters, and actually I made a little kind of water filter guide for my clients. So if you want that guide, just put water guide in the comments and I'll get it out to you. It basically just has 4 examples of 4 different types of filters. So if you do want something that's a little more portable, if you want something that's under the sink, if you want something that is a little more elaborate, the one that I have is it's a filter, but it also hydrolyzes the water. So it's got more hydrogen. So remember how I said the hydrogen is like the antioxidant. So it's actually like antioxidant water, and you can pick the pH of your water. So the really strong acidic water, you can clean your house with it. So you can clean your house chemical free. There's one water that you can wash your fruits and vegetables with, and it'll actually, water and oil don't combine. This high pH water actually combines with the oil, and it'll strip the oils off of the fruits and vegetables. Like a lot of farming uses these oily pesticides. So this particular water will actually bind to that oil and remove it off of the fruit. There's a water you can pick that's beauty water, so you can wash your face or spray your face with it, 6.0 water. So that to me is like the end all be all of water filters. It is quite expensive, but if you think about how much water you and your family use, it doesn't come out to be quite that expensive, and they have great payment plans and things like that. And you can wash your floor with it. A long time ago, I realized I shouldn't be washing my floor with floor cleaner because then my dog walks on it and licks his paws, right? So you can wash your floor just with the high acidic water, and it's not chemicals. So that to me is like the end all be all. But you guys, these days, there are a million different filters, and I'm happy to share the guide with you. But again, please do your own research based on your needs, your budget, and just make sure that it's a high quality company, because a lot of people can claim a lot of things. And for me, water is one of the most important. Obviously, over this whole last half an hour, we've talked about just how important hydrating your cells are. So I wouldn't want to skimp on this if you're trying to save a couple of bucks. I would go with something that was going to be really high quality. So that is it. We went over the non-water tips on how to increase the hydration of the cells, how you know how much water to drink, the safe ways to drink water, the foods and fruits and vegetables that you can eat to increase your water and your minerals, and then the different filtration systems. So on that note, do you have any questions? So thank you everybody. I hope that was helpful. Let me know. Post pictures in the group. I'd love to see what you're doing to increase your hydration factor. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Happy 4th of July. Hope you all stay very safe, have a lot of fun, and I'll see you next week. Bye.